It's been one of those weeks, Brian.
And that was just yesterday.
Actually, it started the day before yesterday. That sounds like the preamble of a horror movie. The day before yesterday, I get up early in the morning. As you know, I'm an aged man now. I'm almost a senior citizen. I've already got the AARP card, and I got to pee early in the morning. I get up with the chickens. Sometimes after we get finished, the chickens go back to sleep, but I'm still up. But I got up early, and I hate this time of year because when I get up early in the summertime, it's still light outside, and the birds are chirping. You know, maybe Bertie Sanders is in the garage, and it's just so nice outside. And you watch the squirrels and the chipmunks play, and the raccoons and the Oompa Loompas and all that type of thing. But this time of year, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. It's pitch fucking black outside. And so that feels wrong. So usually what I do to start my day is I'll come up in the office, and I'll get on the computer and I'll check to see if anybody has emailed me of an important nature. I can't answer all of them, but I can look for the, names of the people that it might be crucial. And then I check the Twitter to see if I want to retweet anything or take the piss out of somebody, as they say. And I'll check the news, both world and wrestling, to see if everybody's still okay, or if hopefully some of the people that I don't want to still be okay aren't. And then I go on by 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm going on about my day, and I don't see a lot of this stuff anymore. But that helps bridge the gap between the darkness and then the sun comes up, and then you feel like you ought to be going ahead and doing something. And then I don't see the computer that much because I'm fulfilling the orders at Cornette's Collectibles, and I'm doing various other things that I have to do without living in front of a fucking screen like everybody lives their life. Tuesday, I get up, the internet's out. God damn it, it says I got no internet because I click on all the stuff and it won't connect. I know how to do two things. Unplug shit and plug it back in, or press the button on the front of the computer thing and it goes off and then you turn it back on. Neither one of those worked. Now I've got to get an expert. But it's fucking 6:45. I can't go wake Stace up, of course. So I'm fiddling around trying to figure out what to do with myself. And it threw my whole goddamn day off. Because it's like too early to be really physically active. But at the same time, I'm not making any progress. So finally, I broke down. Sometime later, I went down there and I said, the internet's out. She's like, it went off at midnight. I'll fix it later. All right. So I go on and go. About 9 o'clock rolls around. I go to the post office, get a bunch of shit shipped out, come back, and everything's fine. But that threw me all off, and that made me, the point of all of this, Brian, did you think I was going to come to one eventually? The point of all of this is 15 years ago, I wouldn't even have looked at this thing because I wouldn't have had it. Now, it throws my whole day off when I don't have a computer and access to the internet. We make shit invaluable to us just because we get used to it. And then we think we need things that we don't really need. I didn't have a goddamn I didn't have a computer till 2009. Stacy did. I didn't have one, didn't need one. Didn't want one. Finally, when we get the website, I got to have a computer. I didn't have email until 2009 for the same reason. I didn't tweet. I was on Twitter because she set that up, but that was usually if we were driving like back and forth to shows or something, and she was in a car for something to do, I would say, hey, tweet this. And she would do it because I'd never actually tweeted for myself until after I started this podcast. And it was sometime after, maybe 2014, 2015. And I already had 60,000 followers. And then I got it on the computer. So this is recent shit, but all of a sudden I'm freaking out because I ain't got my shit. And I'm thinking, we obviously you really don't need Twitter. Now we found out that most of the people on Twitter, I know there's real people out there because I've met some of them, but most of the people on Twitter are either fake, 42 different Twitter accounts, or Russian. Email, I see people that live on their phones and can't do without it, and the whole thing. Does anybody that's not in business really need the internet to live their daily life? If you're just a retired person just poking around the house, or like you, Brian, just independently wealthy and free to do what you want, or just somebody that doesn't have to have the internet for business, why would you need the internet? What joy or service does the internet and the computer in your home bring to you that you could not have any other way, and that we already had before we got this to begin with? I ask you that question, sir.
Well, I could buy stock whenever I want, and I don't have to pay a broker.
Oh, well, now
in
you're
real
just
time,
using it as a cost-saving measure.
I wouldn't say that's...
Okay, that's business.
That's not business.
It's your fucking stock business.
Well,
who out there I'll just get on the internet and just buy my stock or whatever.
Millions of people, I'm sure, have various accounts on various things. How about if you
do your own plumbing too?
No, that's where I draw the line. That's where I draw the line. But I'd be
plumb crazy if I had bought my own stocks. So
okay,
there you go.
Research. If I want to research, let's say a wrestling thing, there are different databases with results. There are different pictures that are available. There's different people who have scanned programs or magazines or whatever it may be. So I'm using wrestling as an example, but you can apply that
walk into the vault.
You could. I could do something similar. A lot of other fans who are collectors probably could. A lot of people couldn't. And actually, because of the internet, I think a lot of the people that, for years, the old school historians that tracked results have had an easier time of finding results that were lost to time.
All right, but you always got to bring all this back to wrestling.
Newspapers.com. I can go and access newspaper articles from the beginning of newspapers in various cities and various states and various countries. And again, I could tie it back to wrestling and say I could research articles that no one had, that no one knew about. You could research stories. But again, that ties into research.
Well, there you go.
Communication.
But back to what I said, if somebody wants to fucking research something, the general public that they need to know, not like you doing your deep research into the darkest recesses of the bowels of wrestling history, but if somebody just needed to educate themselves, everybody had a fucking set of encyclopedias and a dictionary. You don't know what a word means? Look it up in the dictionary. Don't look on the internet. They don't know what the words mean either.
For the record, I wouldn't have to go too far to research the bowels of wrestling history. Right, I think we're in the midst of it right now.
Well, there you is. And we're desperately in need of a colonic. But besides that, crack open your Funkin' Wagnalls, people. Instead of going to Facebook to find, that's why we've got the president we've got. More on that later. But people go to Facebook for their news or their background information instead of cracking open an encyclopedia like we used to back when people were a little bit smarter, or in some way gathering information from a responsible source instead of it being beamed into everybody's home, being manipulated by foreign governments. I'm saying when I'm retired, you will know, because this computer will go off the deck. The Wi-Fi or the hi-fi or whatever it is floating around in my house, it's probably doing damage to my brain as we speak, will be shut off. And for the rest of my life, if I want to know something, I have libraries of information on a variety of subjects. I have encyclopedias and dictionaries, things written down, media that I can consume and educate myself on these things. And if I didn't have all this email shit, then I'd have time to call people on the phone or maybe write them a letter. When's the last time you wrote a letter?
I have not written a letter other than thank you notes to people who buy merchandise. I haven't written an actual letter to anyone in a while, but that's another example of where the internet's good. Communication. The ability to send a friend an email and get a response as quickly as they get to it and converse that way and not have to eat up my time on the phone.
That indicates that you want to encourage the accumulation of friends and encourage them to stay in contact with you, which always leads to trouble.
You just said
you'd
have more time
consuming.
You just said you'd have more time to return phone calls and write letters.
Well, I would.
There was a version of you.
There was somebody I wanted to see.
There was a version of you at the beginning of the last century saying, why do we need a phone? Why can't we just go out and go to our neighbor's house and knock on their door?
That's the first thing. This goddamn phone business, that's the first major intrusion on your privacy at home.
Why do I need a radio? I have all these songs in my head.
No, normally, before the fucking phone, you could go to your home, and unless somebody came pounding on your door, you were unmolested by the outside world, and then you had the option of not letting them in or not. Ever since that fucking phone got stuck in, it's been a downhill slide ever since. Mama Cornette used to be like that. Literally, even when I was a kid or when I'd come back to visit, no matter what era it was, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the phone in this house may not ring for 2 or 3 days. And then suddenly it would ring twice, and my mom would say, well, who the hell can that be? Why can't people leave me alone?
Was it typically someone she actually wanted to talk to, or was it ever just a complete, who is this?
No, yeah, well, actually, I will say for the most part, no, anybody that she didn't want to talk to wouldn't have the guts to call Mama Cornette. But every once in a while, she'd get a salesperson, and she'd give them a very stern tongue lashing that she was not interested and that they'd best take their calls elsewhere and remove her from any type of marketing list that there may be. Anyway, speaking of calling people on the phone or writing them a letter or removing people from marketing lists, folks, if you've been a customer of Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com, do not feel the need to do any of those things, because I'm proud to announce that after diligent work, everything that has been ordered through the morning of Tuesday, October 20th, will be in the mail or already has been shipped by Saturday, October 24th. We have battled back on this thing, got a lot of stuff in the mail this week, and we are ready to take your purchases. Remember, Christmas is coming and quicker than we think. And with delays from every angle, get your order in early. I say this every year. This year more than ever, I do not want to be coming down you people's chimneys on Christmas Eve. Whether it be T-shirts, burger towels, thank you, fuck you, bye, or Cornette face masks. Whether it be the books, the pictures, the DVDs, the incredible deals, the low prices and the high quality, JimCornette.com. Click on collectibles, feast your eyes and fantasize, go to town. Spend money and plenty of it, because I can handle it. I can take a big order this week. We are almost caught up for the first time in a long time, so give me a big one, baby. I can take it. All right, I probably buried myself here.